Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. My name is Nadian Sands, and this, of course, is Learn How to Edit Stuff. Back once again with the fire learning collaboration that is my partnership and this channel's partnership with Envato and Videohive. So randomly, a lot of people have been asking me questions about animated titles in After Effects and how to get them to look smooth and what they can do to just have a bank of really cool titles because the Premiere titles aren't that great. Ooh. I just report the facts. So in the video description right now, you will find several links to amazing animated title packs on Videohive that you can purchase right now. But don't worry, we're still gonna teach you how to do it yourself. But you ask, why should I buy these packs? Without going into too much detail, it actually benefits you more than it benefits me, but it still benefits me in a very small way. If you like this channel and you like me and you like everything you've learned on this channel, you can support me by going to one of the links in the video description below and purchasing the pack for yourself, which will do two things. One, it will give me a small monetary compensation for my time, and I thank you generously for it. Number two, it will give you access to hundreds and hundreds of pre-made title templates that you can just plug the text in, throw it in your video right away, and be cooking with gas very fast. If you value your time, you will go out and spend a couple bucks on a pack to save you a tremendous amount of time because we know the equation. Time is money is time. Time is money. And if you value that equation, then spending a little bit on a pre-made pack with hundreds and hundreds of elements that will get you going quickly is absolutely worth it. So in conclusion, links in the video description below will support me just a little bit, but will support you a lot of bit. But if you're not gonna do that and you wanna learn and you wanna do it yourself, open up Adobe After Effects, because we are getting started. All right, guys, After Effects is open, and down on my timeline, I have one of the examples from the 210 title animation project file. And this one, it's really cool. It has this little ball that comes in from camera and then creates this nice little line and the text comes out of it. Now, if you guys were to buy the 210 title animation project file, which is number 1 in the link in the video description below, it comes with, get this, 210 title animation presets. Whoa! No, but for real, it comes with literally hundreds of these things, and all of these folders contain different various formats and different various things like corporate, wedding, logo, all this other stuff. And all you have to do is kind of like open up any one of these folders and open up the pre-comp, and it will give you a bunch of different title text animations that all you have to do is just plug in your own text and then you're off to the races. But this is not a tutorial on how to use this project file. This is a tutorial on how to create your own. So we are going to recreate this one today with this little ball, and let's get started. So first things first, I'm going to create a new composition by coming up to Composition, New Composition. I have mine set to 1920 by 1080, 23976 at 10 seconds, and I'm going to click OK. So the first thing we're going to do is come up to our text tool, click down here in our composition, and I'm just going to make a big old period because this is what we're going to use as our little ball to transition us in. Now, as you guys see, the anchor point is automatically set outside of the boundaries of this box. Now you can do two different things. If you're on Windows, you can hit Control Alt and Home, and that will center the anchor point right in the middle of your text layer or shape layer or whatever it is. Or if you don't have a home key on your keyboard, which some of you don't, unfortunately, get a keyboard with the home key. Not this, okay. Come to Layer, Transform, and right down here, center anchor point in layer content, and it will do the exact same thing. So we want to center our anchor point so that it's just easier. The next thing I'm gonna do is come down here to this little target down here next to your percentage, click on that and go to Title and Action Safe, and also hit Control R on your keyboard, which will bring up the ruler. And then we're just gonna create a nice line right in the center of our composition so we have a path for this thing to travel. All right, cool. Next thing we're gonna do, come up to Layer, New Camera, and we're just gonna drop an After Effects camera into our composition because it is gonna be like fake 3D. It's really 2D, but it's 3D because we're working on the Z axis. We're gonna get there, trust me, it's gonna be fine. So now that we have a camera in our composition, come down to your period layer, and we're just gonna click this little checkbox underneath this 3D cube to make the layer 3D. And then what we're gonna do is scale this guy down to a reasonable size, and then we're gonna come over and I'm gonna use these guidelines that are in my title safe, and I'm gonna go to the second line in, maybe zoom in here, and I'm just gonna put it right on our nice horizontal line, right at this second line, and we're just gonna use these as guides. So now, what I'm gonna do is come over to maybe half a second, I'm gonna set a position keyframe on my period layer, and then I'm gonna go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 keyframes, and I'm going keyframes by hitting Control and the right arrow key on the keyboard. And now what I'm gonna do is just pull this guy over while holding down Shift so it stays on a horizontal axis, right to where this other second line is, again, using it as a reference point. And now I'm just gonna micro adjust so it is exactly where we want it. now we have this ball kind of traveling along this horizontal line. It's nothing to write home about at this point, but now let's come to the very beginning of our composition, and right next to where it says active camera, where it says one view, click on that and go to two views horizontal. And what that's gonna do is if you click on your camera, it's gonna show you kind of a top-down view over here of where your camera is in the scene and where your actual scene is. And I can click on the period and it will show me exactly where that is. So now that I'm at the very beginning of my composition, what I'm gonna do on this side is I'm gonna grab the period by the Z layer and I'm gonna move it towards camera. And then I'm gonna take it on the X-axis and move it in front of the camera. So now you see that it's actually very large as opposed to where it started from because we're moving it closer to the camera. Just like if I were to get close to the camera like this, I get closer and farther away. This is the Z depth that we're talking about here. Good stuff. So move it as closer as far away as you want, doesn't really matter. Maybe I'm gonna move it a little bit over on the X-axis, and then the final thing you're gonna wanna do is raise it on the Y-axis. Now the Y-axis is kind of hard to get at right here. You kind of have to like fiddle around for a while, but you can very easily come over here on this side, grab this green arrow, which is the Y-axis, and just bring it up just like that. And now the last thing we're gonna do is highlight all of our keyframes, right click on it, come to Keyframe Assistant, and set them to Easy Ease, which is gonna smooth everything out. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of have this nice little coming from camera, hitting our line, and we're gonna create the line next, but the motion is there. Very nice. We can take this off of two views and go back to one view. We will not be using that view anymore. The next thing we're gonna do is come up to Layer, New Shape Layer, and then we're gonna tool this guy down over here, and we're going to add a path. And I'm gonna click on my second line here because I know that that's where we're gonna start. And then I'm gonna hold down Shift and click on the second line over here to create a nice line. Then what I'm gonna do is add a stroke to this, tool this down, increase the stroke width maybe to, I don't know, what is that, 4? 4 looks pretty good. And then last but not least, add a trim paths. And what we're going to do is we're going to animate the line coming across based on these keyframes. So I'm gonna click on my line, I'm gonna come to my trim paths, set a keyframe for end, come over to where this other keyframe is on your period, and then set another keyframe for end, go back to the first keyframe, and now set this to 0. And now this line will animate along with the ball. But it's not in the right spot, obviously, so what we're gonna need to do is take this line and just kind of move it down to line up with our ball. And again, we're gonna highlight these keyframes and come to Keyframe Assistant and set them to Easy Ease. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we should have a pretty decent ball animation and line. There you go. Looking pretty good. Now, if you guys are getting nitpicky like I would get nitpicky, I'm gonna turn off my title safe areas and my guides just for now. You can see that the line is kind of overstepping the ball. And it's also not exactly horizontal with the ball, so we'll fix that right now. But if you guys wanted to fix this line issue, you can just highlight these keyframes, come up to the graph editor here. And on our first keyframe, we're gonna just click on it and hold down Shift and grab this little handle. And we're just gonna adjust it a little tiny bit so that it's actually in line with the ball. I think that actually is gonna work out just fine. Just a little micro adjustment. Perfect. Look at that. So now with our shape layer selected, we can come down to stroke, and then up here on our stroke color, we can make this red or any other color that we want, but based on the example, we're gonna make it kind of this like pinkish red. There you go. And now we're getting somewhere, guys. Haha, bet you didn't think I wouldn't notice that. All you gotta do is take your shape layer line and put it underneath your period layer, and now we're good. You can also move this up again on the vertical axis. All right, now the last thing we have to do is just the text. Come up to our text layer, and just type a blank text layer in here, and we're gonna type in animation, and it is very big, holy moly. Turn this text size down, and we're gonna find a font that we like, and maybe we'll shrink this guy down like this, and we'll increase the tracking amount on the text so it's a little more artistic, and then we're gonna line it up with the very edge of this line. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna animate this text, again, based on the keyframe movements of our period layer down here. So what I'll do is I'll set a position keyframe on animation text right there, and then come over to our last keyframe and set another position keyframe. And since I know that we're gonna end here, I'm gonna go back to my first keyframe and just kind of pull this over to the side, just like that. Whoop, perfect. Then what I'm gonna do is come up to Layer, New, Solid. Doesn't matter what color it is, but make sure it's the composition size. Click OK. And then what I'm gonna do is take this solid layer while holding down Shift and clicking and dragging. I'm gonna move it over to the very edge of my line because this is gonna serve as our mask for the text. and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that this solid layer is put above my text layer, and I'm gonna click on my text layer and change the track matte from none to alpha inverted. And if you don't have track matte listed down here, there's a toggle switch modes button down here somewhere that I currently don't have for some reason. Click that and you should get this. And now what that's gonna allow us to do is use that solid layer, and it's basically gonna mask our text. And again, just because we're keeping consistent with everything else, highlight our keyframes here, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, and that's gonna just smooth out our animation, and it's gonna come out at the exact same time as our ball. And then we can add some text underneath this as well if we wanted to. Get a nice bruh down here. Animation bruh, that's my new studio. And then we're gonna just put this text right below animation. And for this one, we are going to do a different sort of animation with this text layer, where bruh, let's put this on top of our gray solid. We're gonna set a position keyframe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another position keyframe, go back to the beginning, and we're just gonna move this above the line, just like that. And again, layer, new, solid, gray solid, line it up with our line, just like that. And now we are going to set the track matte for bruh to alpha inverted, and we are going to highlight the keyframes, right click, assistant, easy ease. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have kind of recreated a nice, very simple text animation, similar to this one, but a little bit different. You know, we're taking our own spin on it. This one's a lot more like longer and a little bit more like flowy, where ours is a little bit more snappy, you know? And again, if you guys wanted to, we can highlight all of these layers, turn on motion blur for all of the layers by clicking on this little like moving ball thing, and then click on the little moving ball thing in your composition. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have motion blur on our ball that is moving, and also our text animation, just to give it a little bit more life. Our example. Their example. The concepts are still the same, but ladies and gentlemen, you just learned something today. You learned how to create one interesting text title animation. Now, picture this, okay? Hear me out. That pack that we're going through today, 210 examples, is $16 plus a $2 handling fee. I'm gonna mention the handling fee because that's a new thing on Envato. Either way, 18 bucks, okay? $18 will get you 200 of those. We just spent 15 minutes doing this whole thing, and I'm gonna edit it down to be a little bit shorter, but 15 minutes is what I took to do this one example, okay? Now, if you do 4 of these, that's an hour's worth of time, okay? How much are you getting paid per hour at your job? Do you know? Let's do the math. Okay, either way, we're not doing math because this is so worth it to spend $18 to get 210 pre-made examples that all you have to do is change the text out and then throw it in your video and you're done. You guys, time is money. Money, time. The equation makes sense, and I just want you guys to understand that this is not necessarily for my benefit as much as it is for yours. Yes, it does benefit me in a very small way. If you use the links in the video description below to purchase any one of the packs, it does benefit me. And if you guys like this channel and you like learning, I would truly appreciate it, but you guys will benefit more from this than I will because you can learn from these things in a very, very meaningful way, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So in this animation pack, let's just open up any one of these random templates. All right, here's one. These 2 lines coming in and then revealing some text. Now, what you guys can do if you buy this is you can kind of deconstruct this and see what they're doing in order to achieve this exact same thing yourself. And guys, I've mentioned this in videos before. I did this a lot when I was first learning After Effects. I would buy stuff and then just kind of deconstruct it to see what they were doing in there and see how I can apply it to my own videos. So if we take a look at this example specifically, this text line that's raising from the text has a mask on it, and the mask is expanding. And then this layer is actually being used as an alpha matte layer to reveal the text underneath it. So if I were to turn this from alpha to inverted, it would actually work the opposite way, where you would see the text first, and then it would get rid of it. But now if I change this back to alpha, now that line is actually revealing the text, and this is a very interesting way to learn. And that's just one example of hundreds of examples. I can open up another one down here if I'd like, and same thing here, the line comes in, and then you see the text come down from there, and the text come down from here, and all of these are using alpha inverted matte layers to kind of reveal the text, which is what we went over in the first example. But guys, this is a very, very valuable learning tool for you to learn how to do animation presets and animation examples yourself, and it's only gonna cost you 18 bucks. So please do yourself a favor and do me a small favor, but mostly do yourself a favor. Click the links in the video description below and go check out what is available to you right now on Videohive and Envato. It is an amazing platform, especially for creators that are just starting out and for veteran creators as well. It's just all around great, which is why I wanted to do this partnership with them. So definitely go check it out. But that does it today for me, guys. I'm not gonna try to sell you any more on this stuff because you're adults and you make your own decisions. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also check out the last video that you missed. We do them here weekly at Learn How to Edit Stuff. If you aren't following me on social media at NadianSands, tweet at me, ask me what you want to learn, and I'll do my best to make a tutorial for you. Subscribe, check out the last video, and I will see you next time.